the next job I want to do on this bike is to change the exhaust headers and the exhaust can. The ones that are on look like the originals. They've got a little bit of a ding here and there, and they're mild steel, so they do look a bit scabby. The model that came just after this, with the same engine and basically just different fairings, had stainless steel headers. So I've got a set of stainless steel headers, and I've got a can which I think matches that particular stainless steel header type exhaust system. There are a few issues with Fireblade exhausts of this era. One is, so I believe, and I'll find out and tell you at the end, that the can spacing where the 3 bolts hold it on is changed between the T model and the next model on, the V. Yeah, so you can't just put a can on the old pipes because the actual bracket's somewhere around. That doesn't matter if you're putting an aftermarket one on, because usually they come with a strap. The other thing that might be an issue is where it actually mounts to the frame. I've looked on forums and I've had a few conversations on forums. There doesn't seem to be a definitive answer. There must be lots of people who know, but no one's really written it up, or people who have written it up are usually the, potentially keyboard warrior that thinks they know but hasn't actually done it. Now, one guy was actually trying to get me, because he's wanting to do the same swap, to just quickly do this. He said, oh, it'll only take 45 minutes. Well, in my experience with exhausts on old bikes, they can take 45 minutes or they can take 4 days. The studs that hold them in to the actual engine's head, they're in a place where they get showered with crap, road salt and everything. They're mild steel usually. They corrode, and if you get away without a snapped head stud, you've usually done quite well. Now, I've been soaking this in penetrating oil. I've been doing it over the last couple of weeks actually, and every time I've warmed the engine up, I put some penetrating oil on in the daft hope that when it cools down it'll pull it all back in. So all I'm going to do now is undo the headers. I'll start with them first, because if you're going to end up with a snapped head stud, you might as well know it early. Then I'm going to take this pipe off, clean my new one up. Yeah, I've had only a brief look at it. Put it on and see how I go on. Now I've bought some exhaust header gaskets. Now I was expecting to get what looked like copper tubes that crushed down. These seem to be aluminium with some sort of material like head gasket. Now, I'm going to assume they'll probably work. If not, I might have to have a break until I get, in doing the job, until I get some. It's just one of these things that happen when you just order something. It says it's the right thing off eBay, you didn't look at the picture. And they're probably right. So, let's crack on. The first thing that I've done is I've released the radiator so it'll push forward. There's one bolt on the other side at the top, and then it pulls off a rubber bung, and then there is, you might be able to see it, and then there's like a stay that goes to the bottom of the cylinder head on the bottom, which I've undone as well. I've also warmed the engine up, because taking the studs out of a cold head might put a little bit more pressure on. Having a warmed up engine actually gives you a better chance. You might always see people with blowtorches on things to warm them up. Well, if it's in an engine, why not just warm the engine up all the way? I haven't got the bike on a lift, so I'm going to have to do a bit of grovelling on the floor and lying underneath. But here's one of the bolts, or one of the nuts that fastens onto the cam stud. So let's just give it a go. Oh, actually, it was looser than I expected. So what I'm going to do is grovel about on the floor now, taking them out. There's 8 to be undone. Let's hope I don't break a stud. If I do, you'll see it. If I don't, you'll see me with the pipes in my hand in a short while. That noise indicates, I think, that the stud is pulling out of the head, which is better than it's snapping. So let's hope it comes out all the way nice and cleanly. It's not the end of the world, that. That got all of the nuts off now. Only one stud came out and none broke. That's a real bonus. It's funny, some of them felt finger tight, some of them you was doing one click on your ratchet to move them at a time. You know, it's always a bit of a job, this, that you need to approach carefully. There's 3 Allen screws that hold this end of the can, and then there's a 14mm bolt going through there. So this should be fairly easy to just slip off. Maybe that's why they call them slip-ons. So the only thing holding it on now is this bolt through the back end of the frame there, and habit, I suppose. So I'll undo that, and then I'll probably have to give it a little bit of tapping to get it off. I just need to pull the bolt out from the where it mounts onto the back of the frame, and then in principle it should just drop off forwards coming out of the head. I've got myself a hammer and a piece of wood just in case it needs a little bit of persuasion to come out. Oh, that was nice and easy. Well, I was a bit concerned about these exhaust gaskets, and I've decided I'm going to wait and get some copper ones. Reason being, these are actually quite thick and they don't seem to be very willing to crush down. Now, when I put them in the actual exhaust ports where the exhaust goes, they fill it. Now, it could be that that's going to give me a brilliant seal, but the nuts that hold the actual exhausts on might be, you know, under a bit more duress, or I might be trying to tighten them and crush this, and I really don't want to put them under that pressure. These copper ones crush down quite easily. This, I think, will take, you know, a fair bit of doing. So I'm going to order some of them, and as soon as I've got them in, I'll fit this exhaust on. I put some rust converter on the bits that I think are mild steel on this exhaust. It's stainless in the main, but even the stainless bits do this colour. I'm not trying to do and make it look brand new. What I'm trying to do is slow down the progression of the rust. So I've put the rust converter on, left that for a good while, gave it a wipe over with some panel wipe, and then I've put some VHT paint on it to make it look a little bit prettier. I could do the whole pipe and make it look really, really nice, but why? It's a riding bike, and this is an item that gets, hardly seen. The bit that I will want to shine up though is this nice stainless bit that sticks out from the side of the bike, so I will give that a bit of a fettling with some Autosol. I mentioned earlier on I wasn't happy about the seals. I didn't think they were going to be right, so I have bought some of the copper ones. I also had one stud come out and I couldn't remove the nut from it either, so what I've done, I bought a couple of studs, but I should only need one. Interestingly, it's M8 at one end, M7 at the other. I've also bought some new exhaust nuts. I'm replacing the ones that look really scabby, but some of them are absolutely fine. There's a couple that were just not the right one. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to shove the stud in. I'm going to use a bit of thread locker on this. I've put one of the old nuts on, and when that threads down a bit I'm going to lock that one on to push it all the way in. Shouldn't be a big deal this, it doesn't need to be killed, it just needs to be in firm with a bit of thread locker. You might have noticed I put some assembly paste around the seals. Main reason is so that they'll stick in while you're fiddling about and getting the exhaust into position. Then I've put the actual nuts onto the studs. I've snugged them all down so that the actual clamp is pulling it in. And now what I'm going to do is to torque them up. Now they only torque to 12 Newton meters, which is not very much at all. Unfortunately, it's a bit of a struggle to get in, but I'm sure I'll manage to do it. He says, laughingly. you want to make sure you do them nice and even. See, next to nothing. I actually thought, aha, got a fair bit to go on there, and didn't. See? So I'll just make sure I do all of them, and then I'm ready to actually fit the actual muffler. Got the headers on now, and doesn't it look lovely coming out underneath here? It's a one bolt, and I was under the impression that I might have a problem with this, that it might be at a slightly different angle, the bracket here. However, it's absolutely beautiful the way that it's gone on. Now, this header is off an RRW, and I'm imagining that the RRW and beyond are the same. It might not be, you know, it's hard to say. I can't find any definitive information, but it fits on the RRT absolutely beautifully. The next thing is I wanted a standard can, and again it's very difficult to work out which is the right one from information you can find on the internet. Now this one is my Sankai 2361, and I was under the impression from something I'd read that that should be the right one for these headers, because apparently this is twisted round slightly on the later ones, so that if you don't get them right, this bracket will be in the wrong place. Now I was under the impression this was going to be the right can for these headers. It's a 2361. Unfortunately, now I've come to try and fit it, I've discovered that it's very close. However, it's slightly bigger in every dimension. This is slightly wider, so the holes are further out. The actual bracket is a little bit further that way. I think this is off a 929. I'll put in the comments if I can find that out for certain. It could be that this is off an RX or later one. I'm really not sure, and they don't make it very clear at all. I think I need a Sankai 2337 to fit on this, so I'm going to keep my eyes open for that. Not to worry though, I've still got the Micron one, and the Micron one will fit up with that absolutely fine. The holes and everything line up. It even puts Micron in the right place. So I can put the strap on and put this on. I'm not going to put this on at the moment. I'm going to finish the video here. The reason being, I'm also going to replace the subframe, so I don't want to put this on and take it back off. If you've enjoyed this video, why not subscribe and follow on with our other adventures with this bike and the other things that we're doing. Thanks for watching anyway, and if you were really kind, you'd give us a thumbs up. See you next time.